This is A's Cast Live, your comprehensive look at the Athletics.
Leaping at the wall, it's gone! A towering drive into center field by Rooker.
And 29 other MLB clubs.
A judgy blast. All rise. Here comes the judge.
Swung on, hit high, hit deep to right, away back into the second deck.
Bobby Witt Jr. becomes the first shortstop in Major League history to have two 30-30 seasons.
Shohei Ohtani starts the 50-50 club.
Join us as we take you inside the baseball universe, from humidors to walk-off dingers to Hall of Fame talk. We have you covered. Spend your afternoon with us, only on A's Cast Live. Here's Chris Townsend.
You know, I said to Cody, for today, I want to open up the show with an all-star. I want to open up the show today with a all-time Pittsburgh Pirate great. Is that correct? Is that what you made that happen for me?
Yes. I mean, anytime we get a Pirate grade on, we
Oh
get a
my
Pirate
God,
grade on.
for you to get a Pirate grade on. Jack Wilson joins us here, the father of Jacob Wilson. It's always great to have you on A's Cast Live. How are you?
Towny, I'm great, man. Thanks for having me. I'm excited. I watch the show every day, so it's a pleasure to be here.
Well, I was just thinking about this before I'm going to ask you about some report card stuff. Obviously, we've played 81 games, but just from a family standpoint, just how great has this first half been for you guys to watch your son play every day in the big leagues?
Yeah, no, it's amazing. I'm still pinching myself. It was really cool early. We were in Arizona and he was in Sacramento, and it was the same time. But since I've been here in Tennessee with our season starting out here, our games finish and they're starting over there at 10:05 our time. So it's been pretty late nights for us to come from this stadium over to our rent a house and watch the games and be able to talk to him at like 2 a.m. So it's been awesome. I mean, obviously just a huge fan of the entire team and getting to know some of the players and with Logan, his fiance, being there, getting to learn more about everybody's family. So it's been pretty special to be a part of that.
So when you're sitting home and you're on the couch and you're just watching it by yourself, and
I can't watch it live. My wife can. I cannot.
You're like Billy Bean. You can't watch games live.
I can't watch it live. I follow it on game day. If I pick up my phone and he's up, I do not watch. I wait till the at-bat's over, and then I read what happens, and I go back and rewatch the at-bat because I know he's going to talk about it later. I can't. I get too nervous because I see the guy set up, and sometimes you can see the pitch. I mean, I'm like, sit soft. Look away. I'm like yelling at the TV, so I get too riled up. So my wife watches it. My daughters watch it. I watch it after the fact. I watch defense live. That's fine. But hitting, I just get too excited.
All right. So when you watch it back and you already know what has happened, right. So I imagine you're watching the really, really good, and there's not a whole lot of bad, but you'll watch when things don't go well.
For sure.
Like, how do you watch it? How do you critique it? What are you looking for?
I just, I know he's going to want to talk about it after the game. If he wants to break it down, sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, but I got to have that information. If he's talking about, hey, did you see that pitch, or what did you think about the swing on the 2-1? Like, he'll want to talk about it. So I have to make sure I'm, go back and watch each pitch and kind of see if I see anything. Most of the time I don't. He knows what he's doing. But sometimes he likes to have conversations about it. So I make sure I watch every at bat. Last night was nice because they were on the East Coast, so it was on the same time. So we were able to talk in a decent hour, which was great. And, he was able to kind of break down what he felt like. And, it was good because it was a rough week last week for him. Things didn't fall for him. He hit some balls hard towards the end of the week, which I was pretty pumped about. But I think yesterday was a really good sign of him getting back on track and staying inside the ball. So it was fun to see him get a couple hits last night.
Not to get too personal, but let's be honest, we don't get this too often, right? Where dad was a great player, son is a great player, and to kind of see it through your eyes. So when you're having these conversations after the game, no one knows his swing better than you. So it's kind of like, are you dad? Are you coach?
Right.
Are you hitting coach? Are you kind of in between? Depends on the moment. Take us through those phone calls.
Number one, I'm dad first. He has a text waiting for him after every game. I make sure that there's something waiting for him positive, no matter what happened, whether it was a great game or it was a game that didn't go his way. He played great defense, had good battles, didn't work out for him, but it's always something positive. And then if it's anything baseball, it's his lead. I don't ever talk about it. I won't bring it up. If he wants to talk about how the game went or how he felt or whatever, if he needs anything that I saw, that's his lead, because I'm his dad, number one, life coach, number one. And so baseball is secondary. And for me, I just let him, he's doing his thing. He's in the big leagues. He's working hard. He's learning a lot. It's still his rookie year. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot more to learn for him. And I just try to keep everything is positive. Everything's positive about what I talk to him about. 1-for-4s are great. He doesn't like 1-for-4s. He doesn't like 1-for-5s, but it's like, man, hitting is hard. Getting hits in the big leagues is very hard to do. And I know how you feel. I've been there. You want to be successful, but for the most part, I just let him lead. And there's some days he might want to talk about it, some days it doesn't, but I just kind of sit back, and most of the time I really don't have much. I can just give him into tips here and there. But for the most part, he's pretty steady Eddie with his approach and what he's doing.
Lawrence Butler had the best one on him, where Lawrence Butler was talking about he comes in the dugout and he's 1-for-4. He's like, man, I can't hit. And all of his teammates look at him and go, shut up. What do you mean you can't hit?
He does that.
1-for-4, man. What are you talking about?
He is hard on himself, and that's part of my job too, is to kind of bring back and give him perspective. And sometimes it's just giving them to look at it in a different point of view. And I always felt like, as far as I can go back with my offense to make it a positive, or like 2 for my last whatever, but you're actually 7 for your last 20 something, which is way better than thinking that I'm 1 or 2 for my last 11 or whatever it may be. So just trying to give them different perspective and keeping on the positive side. This game's tough. It's really hard on a day-to-day basis. It's a mental grind.
One thing that I've never forgotten from my head coach at San Jose State, the Hall of Famer, Sam Perraro, would always say to us, and I still talk to him all the time, and he preached this to all of us and all of his players. It says, no matter how good you are, no matter how great things are going, it takes one screw up to ruin your reputation.
No doubt.
One screw up.
Yeah.
And I've never forgotten that. And I've preached that to my kids as they're now in college, that, you're representing yourself. You're representing our family. Same thing for you. Just how proud are you of the way your son has conducted himself? He's represented himself, your family. He's been fabulous for this organization.
No, thank you. That's the most important. We hear from clubbies and other clubbies that are still doing their thing from when I played, and they reach out to me and they talk about how much of a young man. And that's a big props to his mom. And because I was gone all the time. I was playing baseball a lot when he was growing up, and Julie was amazing at building that side of his life. Obviously, when I retired, I became his baseball coach, and I was in charge of athletics, and mom's in charge of academics, because that wasn't my thing. So but I think that's a huge thing for us, is understanding, no matter where you go in life, no matter if you're become a household name or whatever it is you're doing, that you're always a good person. He lives his life through faith, which is a important part of our family, and we love the fact that he lives his life through that and he projects that. So that's a big part of compliments about him playing baseball and doing well are awesome, but the more, like what you said about what kind of person he's being, and always saying about being a good teammate, stuff like that stuff is huge for us.
All right, we all wish we could be Derek Jeter, and we come up to the big leagues, and it's the playoffs every year and World Series and all these different games, but that's just not a reality for 99.9% of everybody who's going to play at this level. You had your struggles with the Pittsburgh Pirates. You guys lost a lot of games. I'm thinking for this young group, when you're talking to Butler and you're talking to Soderstrom and you're talking to your son and you're talking to Muncy and you're talking now Nick Kurtz, they don't like losing. And you know what? I go, good. Because sometimes you guys have had all this success. You guys have had all this success growing up. This is the first time you're really experiencing hardcore losing. Yeah. Just talk about that, because you did it with the Pirates. It can build a lot of character for the future of these young kids.
No doubt. I think what you said was important, is that Nick Kurtz came from a program that was a winning program. Jacob was at GCU and they won the WAC. They won their conference all 3 years. Jacob and him and Max were in high school and they won a lot of games too. So they're used to winning, which is really great. So it feels even worse for those guys, because they're so used to winning that this is kind of like, and which is great, because that's gonna push them to work harder to make sure this thing turns around, and it will, because this young core, like what we've been talking about, you're just a couple pieces away. It's really not that far, and these guys are all going to grow up together. They're going to learn together. You got guys like Rooker and guys like McFarland, guys that have been there, and they're going to help out with these young guys. Those Severino is going to be huge for the young pitchers, but like, this group's going to go through this young part of their season. Those first couple of years are tough. There's a lot to learn about how Major League Baseball is on and off the field. There's a lot of life change there, and these guys are going to do it together, and they can learn from each other. So I think it's going to be really special going forward.
I think this question might sound weird for a lot of people, but I think you're going to understand it, is how tough is it to have success personally while your team struggles? Because you're going to enjoy the successes, but you got to act mad and you want to win. It's an interesting dilemma. You went through it with the Pirates.
Yeah, your job every day is to help your team win, and you can control what you can control, and you go out there and you play hard. At the end of the day, if it's not a win and you put up some decent numbers, there's a part of you that does feel good that you helped do your job and you try to put your team in a situation to win a game. And sometimes it doesn't work out. For 9 years, it didn't work out very often for us in Pittsburgh, and we took that personally. Our guys were not happy with being in that clubhouse and not winning games, but we all busted our butts every day. I mean, I wouldn't trade my teammates in Pittsburgh for those 9 years for anybody, because it was a young core group, but we all worked really hard. We just weren't as talented as the Cubs and the Cardinals and then the Brewers. Like, we just couldn't match up with those guys, but we worked our butts off. And I think this is a hardworking team. So at the same time, you're trying to do a job. You're trying to wake up and post up every day, post up your numbers and try to help your team win. And at the end of the day, you hope that you made an impact to give them a chance or to pull a W. So I think that's the focus. I talk to these guys, like, show up every day to help your team win. Because sometimes you help your team with your B game. Sometimes you go for 4, but you make a great defensive play that saves a run. So a B game sometimes, as long as your focus is whatever you got to do to help that team win is the main focus, your numbers are going to be there in the end.
So after 81 games, looking like at a report card, what grade would you give Jacob Wilson so far in his first full 81 games? You're watching it every day.
It's pretty good. I mean, I don't know. That's a tough question. I think for him, he's never satisfied. He made a really cool text to me early in the season, and this was a big moment for me. I think he was hitting maybe 340, 360, but it was early. Numbers fluctuate pretty quickly.
Yeah.
And he went 1 for 4, and I think it might have been in Colorado. So this was really early. And he kind of threw his bat out. He didn't have any good at bats. He had 4 at bats. It wasn't great, but he kind of threw his bat out, got a bloop double down the line and scored 2. And they ended up winning the game. And I was like, dude, that's awesome. Like, good job. But he was focused on the fact that he didn't feel good. He was pumped about the W. He's like, yeah, we got the win, and that's awesome because we're rolling. But gosh dang, I felt terrible. I'm like, bro, if you feel terrible and you can throw out a 2-run double, I was like, that's huge. That's huge because we're not going to feel great every day. But he goes, and he wrote this. He said, I'm not a 250 hitter. I'm like, good. That's really good for you. Like, as a rookie doesn't think like that. A rookie's just happy to get it done. But in his mind, like, he holds himself at a different level. He holds himself at a bar that I couldn't fathom when I was a rookie. When I was 23 and a rookie, I couldn't fathom, like, man, I got a hit. I am partying. We got a W and I'm hitting. We're going back. We're ordering some room service because this is a day. But for him, he holds himself to a different standard. And he holds himself to what 300 hitters hold themselves to. They hold themselves. They expect to be great every day. He expects to get 2 hits every day. And I'm like, man, I didn't have that feeling too much as a Major League Baseball player. So the fact that you have this already is pretty cool. And again, it was early. It wasn't like he was 350 3 months into the season. It was early. And I thought that was a really cool to hear from him say that, to hold himself to that type of bar at such an early point in his career. So I thought that was pretty cool.
A-, B+?
I think it's a solid A. I mean, yeah. I think you've said it. You expected him. I've watched A's Cast many times, and even back when he was coming up in spring training, and he was.
I was giving him an A. I was giving you a little bit of an out right there. Like, if you want to play tough, I mean, how's it not an A? He's probably the All-Star.
And it's an A. I think for him, I think he's going to be a little bit harder on himself because he expects himself to make every play. He expects himself to do everything right, and I love that about him. And I think it's an A because I think what he's done, I think people saw there's potential there, but with his hand-eye coordination and his bats and what he's done, I think it's been exceeded his expectations and everybody else's expectations for this early in his career. I think this is something that I can't see. I would love to see what it looks like next year and the year after that. Like, where does he go from here? Because you get smarter. You get, a lot smarter when you get 500, 700, 1,000 at bats. You start really learning about yourself and what the league does to you. So I'm just pumped that he's surrounded by good people. He loves Cots. He loves the coaches. He loves his teammates. I think that's a big deal when you enjoy the people around you. I think it's and you respect them and you trust their wisdom. I think a lot of people are putting into him the kind of season he's had. It's not just him. It's a collective. How his teammates have been cheering him on and rooting him on. Lawrence Butler is a big figure in his life. So does Soderstrom. Obviously having Max there from high school, I think he's in a place where he can succeed and have guys have his back. And that's tough to have when you're a rookie. So I think it's a collective, where he's at. I think a lot of people are involved.
We haven't had an A's shortstop voted into the All-Star game since the mid-'70s. It's been a long time. Bert Capaneris, Oakland A's Hall of Famer. I think about this, and I want you to go back to your time. When you first walked in, All-Star game, and you got to be in that clubhouse and you're looking around. Take us through what that was like, because Jacob's going to be an All-Star. Whether he's voted in or not, he's going to be an All-Star. So, Dad, tell us, what was it like when you first walked into that clubhouse?
Yeah, I think my locker was in between Renteria and Pujols. So we had Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds on that team. It was surreal. It really was like a kind of like, oh my gosh, this is really happening. And I just wanted to go around and get autographs. Like, I was just like, oh my gosh. And just to mingle with them and kind of meet them and you go against them, but you see them at second. I was always the guy to be like, hey, way to swing it. Like, converse with guys when they got to second base. But that was a time where I kind of got to be there. I was there with Sean Casey, which was a big deal because I loved Case when he was in Cincinnati, and we actually ended up playing together in Pittsburgh. But having Barry Larkin there was huge. He was in that All-Star game as well. And, man, it was just an unbelievable experience. I mean, I would have wished to be able to go do well enough to go back and do it again because it was just 3 days. But it's 3 days of just like you're floating. Like this is just – it's almost like when you got drafted, and you got your opening day. It's kind of like those same type of feelings. Like this is really happening. I'm really here, and you get to enjoy. I had Jacob in my arms, like during batting practice, during home run derby, like he's down on the field with me, and
wow.
My whole family and a bunch of friends came out. I mean, it was 3 days of just unbelievable memories. Like, and then, it was so surreal. And so if it does happening for him and it'd be really special, especially too being in Atlanta. He got drafted while he was in Seattle. Seattle was the draft, and I played in Seattle, and he spent a lot of time in that stadium. And then he spent a lot of time in Atlanta because I was there for 2 years. So my back end of a career, he was in Atlanta, coming to games, coming down on the field, talking to players, stuff like that. So it'd be pretty cool to have that Seattle, Atlanta connection, and then turn around in September and go play at PNC Park. So it's been a pretty special year so far.
Well, I know you're super busy with everything you got going. We truly appreciate you giving us your time. Your son is a special person. It's just not the way he swings it. It's not the way he plays short. Obviously, he's a great player. He's a great kid. He's the type of person that you want in your clubhouse. Everybody loves him to death. And when you start looking at the guys that we got a lot of good people. Sometimes you got guys who are talented, but they're not the best of guys. You're kind of, I got to get them out of here. Your son, he's special. You can tell, as my late father used to say all the time, he was raised right. Yeah. And it's something you guys should be very proud of. So continued success with everything. We'll have you on again later on. And I can't wait to see your son in the All-Star game.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Be well. Take care.
Right, take it easy.
Jack Wilson, former All-Star, was a great player in his own right with the Pirates for years, an All-Star, had over 200 hits himself. His son also is trending to have well over 200 hits. What was it yesterday? Was a hit number 103 yesterday in 81 games. Am I right on that?
Yeah, and he also has like 33 multi-hit games.
That's incredible. It's absolutely incredible.
I looked up the roster for that 04 All-Star game.
That is still peak steroid era All-Star game, by the way. So you've got big names, big numbers, and you wonder, it's so funny when we go back and we talk Moneyball and we talk about that era of baseball. And if you go look at the league and how many walks there were, because if you were a pitcher, what are you going to do? You going to stand up there and challenge all these guys on PEDs? You crazy? Don't forget Moneyball. They're going to walk. The A's walked more than any other team in 1999. That's years before Michael Lewis steps into the clubhouse and go, how are these guys doing it? I don't know. It's Scott Hatterberg.
Hatterberg.
The Hatterberg guy, the Scott Hatterberg guy, who he can't throw. Do I care? He gets on base. All that stuff in Moneyball. The movie was great. By the way, Southwest has it. Flying back from Vegas, I actually watched some of Moneyball.
Can he hit?
I fast-forwarded to the scouts.
So he walks a lot. He gets on base a lot. Rocco, do I care if it's a walk or a hit? Pete? You do not.
The ball just pops off his bat. You can hear it all around the ball.
5-2 time. Good-looking ball player.
Okay. The A's led the league in all, just not the league, the American League. They led all of baseball in walks in 1999, well before Michael Lewis showed up, and also right in the heart of the steroid era, which everybody, all 30 teams, had guys on PEDs.
The ball explodes off his bat.
I'm telling you, it was a different era.
As I say, it was a loosey-goosey era.
It was very loosey, it was very goosey, and it was very fluid.
By the way, the starter in that 04 All-Star game for the American League, Mark Mulder. They got the win.
Did you, if you were a pitcher in that era and you knew what was going on, everybody knew what was going on, you want to stand there and live in the strike zone? You want to live in the strike zone against Barry Bonds?
I mean, the only guy that did well in it was Pedro Martinez.
That All-Star game, I guarantee you, is littered with guys on PEDs.
Well, here, let's just go through the American League starting lineup. Ichiro, Pudge Rodriguez.
Definitely.
Vlad Guerrero. Manny.
Definitely.
Manny. A-Rod.
Definitely.
Giambi.
Definitely.
Jeter.
No.
Soriano.
Could be. I don't know if he never tested positive, but he could. Yeah.
National League.
I mean, the only two guys, but remember, Bartolo Colon proved it to all of us. Like Bartolo Colon and Melky Cabrera, the milkman over in San Francisco, two bad body guys, both got popped in the Bay Area. If you would have lined up 100 baseball players, take your shirt off, and you look down the list and you saw Bartolo Colon's gut.
Have you seen him now, by the way?
No.
Oh, he looks incredible.
Do you think anybody would have said, oh, yeah, he's on PEDs?
No.
No. You would have said, no chance. He may be on cheeseburgers, but he is not on PEDs. But it just goes to show, you really can't rule out anybody from that era. You cannot say he wasn't on it. You really can't. Because I know on that list, you'd be like, there's no way Jeter was on it. I would bet Jeter wasn't, but you don't know. Because guys that we didn't think would ever be on it were on it. Was Ichiro on it? I would say no. But
Bailey said he had the power, though.
I can't bet anybody in that era. Because the percentages, we all laughed at, what was the book, Juiced?
Yeah.
We all laughed at Canseco's number. Then Ken Caminetti came out with the number. Like, they were basically like, hey, everybody's on something. And then all of a sudden you're like, Andy Pettitte? Would you have bet Andy Pettitte? But, guys were when you say performance-enhancing drugs, you're talking about a lot of different things, right? Human growth hormones, testosterone, and straight anabolic steroids are all three different things. You're saying performance enhancing. It's just not steroids. We're talking about performance. So there's a lot of different things that are performance enhancing, right? So it's like Andy Pettitte was just on testosterone because he was trying to come back from an elbow problem. So not everybody was looking like King Kong and they were all buffed out. All those guys, the Clear and the Cream. If you go back and read I don't even know why we've gotten into this, but the Game of Shadows proved the Clear and the Cream. Basically the Balco drugs. Some of those drugs were drugs that never made it to market. One of them was for hyperactive kids in the 70s. They never made it to market, right? So no one knew what it was because it never went to market. So there was a lot of different things guys were taking that it falls in the performance-enhancing drug. Back to the point, if you know everybody's on something, you want to go living in the strike zone against those hitters?
No.
Hell no.
Real quick, by the way, Dan Dickerson got back to me. He gave me his email, so we will have him at 2:00. The voice of the Tigers. Here's the NL roster. Edgar Renteria is the shortstop. Albert Pujols at first. Bonds. Roland. Sosa. Piazza. Berkman. Kent. And then Roger Clemens was starting for the Houston Astros.
I mean, speculate all you want. I mean, how many guys in the starting lineup of the 2004? You go through all those All-Star games. How many guys were on PEDs?
Oh, that seems like a good amount of them were.
Good. Yeah. By the way, how many pitchers we up to now?
It was
701,
713 or something. Oh, wait, hold on, I have it right here.
Yeah, we're up to over. Yeah, so we're at the midway point. Not everybody is. The Athletics are at 81. A lot of teams are right below 81. We've used over 700 pitchers in Major League Baseball. Over 700 pitchers, and we're not even at the All-Star game.
It's June 20th. What is it? June 25th. June 25th.
June 25th, and we've used over Nate. They can't hear Nate, huh?
No.
Just Nate, in my ear, you're a basketball guy. You're a Kings guy. You're ready for another rebuild. No offense. As a basketball guy, when I tell you June 25th, there's been over 700 pitchers in baseball used. What are you? Does that just shock you? Yeah. Well, they can't hear you, Nate. The radio people can hear you. Okay, so yeah, you're right. Like when you hear Raleigh Fingers say, "Yeah, we used 5 pitchers in the '74 World Series," we've used over 700. 700 human beings have been on the mound.
That's including position players too. I know. I'm saying like
they count because they pitched.
Yeah, Kike Hernandez has made more appearances than some guys.
I mean,
have.
Johnny Paredes, I put him in the rotation.
Let's pause 10 seconds for station identification right here on AceCast.
Tigers, yesterday was game 81 for us. Is today game 81 for them?
They're 50 and I think they're 50 and 30, right?
So today's game, I can't wait. What grade do you give the Tigers?
Yeah.
50 wins on the season. I told you the last time that they had 50 wins at this time of the year, they went to the World Series. I mean, pretty incredible, the start. You know, it's something, and we're gonna talk. All right. We have the voice of the Tigers next. We'll ask him. Something special happened last year. A lot of teams don't always carry that over. They've carried it over, and they've gotten better. Voice of the Tigers next, right here on A's Cast Live.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall. FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
Become an A's insider today. Visit athletics.com/newsletter and sign up to receive the latest team highlights, up-to-date news, features, and more, all delivered free to your inbox. That's athletics.com/newsletter.
A's first baseman Tyler Soderstrom was on A's Cast Live with Chris Townsend and discussed his ability to play multiple positions if asked to.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, I feel like with anything, you got to go out and get the reps and kind of learn the position. Every position has kind of a learning step. But, yeah, I mean, I definitely have the athleticism, I feel like, to play anywhere on the field. I mean, I feel like shortstop in the bigs would be a little bit of a stretch, but maybe, yeah. I mean, I could.
You could play third?
Could
you play third base?
Yeah, I mean, I could play third, play first, corner, outfield spot. I mean, I would feel really comfortable in any of those situations. I mean, obviously, you'd have to put some time in and kind of, like I said, learn the position and what it entails. But, yeah, I mean, I feel like my athleticism really carry me anywhere I need to go.
You can watch the full interview at youtube.com/athletics or listen at athletics.com/A'sCast. For just $25, fans can sit in the general admission outfield grass for all regular season home games. Tickets for that day's game will open up daily at 9 a.m. for purchase at athletics.com/lawn. Sign up to receive A's alerts to receive a text the first morning of each home series as a reminder. For more information, visit athletics.com/lawn.
The A's YouTube page is your go-to destination for A's video content. Get access to great highlights, exclusive behind-the-scenes content, classic games, A's Cast Live, and more. Visit youtube.com/athletics.
Here's the pitch, and it's a hit. Folsom Lake Ford has stepped up again, winning the Triple Crown Award, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, now 7 years in a row. Folsom Lake Ford is a top sales leader in the U.S., along with being top in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Now that's a home run. Don't miss the huge savings on your favorite models at your truck headquarters. Folsom Lake Ford in the Folsom Auto Mall.
A's Cast Live continues from NBC Sports. Here's Chris Townsend.
Coming to you live from the NBC Sports studios here in San Francisco, California. Dan Dickerson, longtime play-by-play man for the Detroit Tigers, joins us once again here on A's Cast Live. Dan, how are you?
I'm great, Chris. How are you?
We're doing well, and I'm just thinking about the Tigers being at 50 wins. And we all know that if you're old enough, you remember the 1984 Tigers who whooped up on the Padres. I grew up in San Diego. I was at that World Series, then 06. I mean, the history for the Tigers, when you got 50 wins at this point of the year, usually you take it to the Fall Classic. Everybody just got to be super excited in Detroit.
Yeah, they really are, Chris. I mean, AJ, of course, will never look beyond today's game. And you know what? That's why they finished the way they did last year, and that's why they're good this year. They just truly do. I mean, it's been 5 years now with the same message, but now they've got the talent to match the message, meaning what do we have to do to win today's game? All that goes into that. Yeah. And this year, I think the big step forward has been learning how, it really started last year, learning how to win series. What's our advantage against this team so that we can take the series by winning at least 2 out of 3 over the next 3 days? And they just keep winning series. Longest losing streak of the year has been 3. They're not impressed by anything they've done because they know they've got a lot more work to do. But it's a lot of fun to watch. Good brand of baseball.
You know, we see teams who do magical stuff at the end of the year. They get into the postseason. Everybody's fired up in the offseason. Right. Then they can't replicate it. So many times teams don't replicate it.
I would say it's the norm.
Right. But something happened in Detroit last year. It was magical. I was actually I got where you're from, Birmingham. I got a good buddy, a former teammate of mine who lives in Birmingham, Michigan.
Nice.
So I was there playing. He's a member at Oakland Hills. So I was there during your guys' playoff run, and I was like, man, this thing is super, super magical, but it's just not magical anymore. What do you think it is that happened last year that's translated into this year to being the best team in baseball?
Yeah, I think they had to play those meaningful games in September was step one, right? They hadn't done that under A.J. Hinch. Okay, now we're playing those games with a little more pressure. There was pressure to win every single game to get into the postseason on their 31-11 run. And then, so there's that. It's the development of young hitters. Half the plate appearances by the Tigers last year were by players 25 years old or younger. Half the plate appearances. So that's a young group. Now they challenge in the offseason. How do you get better in the offseason? Because Scott Harris knew, A.J. Hinch knew, this whole staff knew the odds were there was going to be regression unless you take steps to head it off by adding talent like Gleyber Torres and by challenging these guys not to just get ready for next year, but get better in some specific way. They have their exit interviews. They come up with a little list. They go to work. And you see it with player after player. They got better in certain areas. So that brand of baseball, which is an aggressive brand of baseball, it's an exciting brand of baseball, is actually now at a higher level from a year ago. And there's nothing magic about it. It's just, they've got talent and they're getting the most out of it. And there's still upside for a lot of these guys.
What's so interesting about management is, so obviously Farhan Zaidi was a Billy Beane disciple. He's one of Billy's right-hand guys. When he was running the Giants, we didn't really know much about Scott Harris, right? It was like he was here for a hot minute. Next thing you know, he's getting like this big time job with Detroit, and he's going to run the Tigers, and you're like, what is this? Just talk about what he has done. It's so impressive to really change the Tigers, rebuild the Tigers, and turn you into one of the best teams in baseball.
Yeah, you know what I like, Chris, when he started out, the first interview that he and I did for the pregame was he believes the biggest separator among organizations, among the many factors, is culture. A lot of people throw culture around like a buzzword, right? But he means it, meaning he's going to look for certain types of players who, as he talked about, are going to dominate the strike zone, but also he's going to look for a certain type of person so that this offseason, he's only going to add guys who are going to fit into what they're building in the clubhouse, which is, that culture of pushing each other to excel every day, trying to find ways to get better every single day, doing the work, putting in the work every single day. So he talked about that, and then he added the players that AJ and this staff can work to bring this. It's a group that's the whole's greater than the sum of the parts. Sounds like a cliche, but he saw it in San Francisco that year. They won 107 games when they're expected to win, 80, 82 games. So I'm impressed by that. I was talking with some of our hitting coaches recently, and I was like, you guys have become more aggressive. In other words, the swing decisions have gotten better this year. Last year, kind of a passive team, now swinging at the first pitch more often and drawing more walks. So those are good swing decisions, right? You're going up there to do damage early. And then if they're going to pitch around you or they're going to pitch on the edges, you can take your walks. And they said, you know what? That's credit to Scott Harris for bringing us these kinds of players who understand that when we say be aggressive early in the count, because that might be the best pitch you're going to hit, they don't just go up there and swing, swing, swing. Or if we need to make sure that we get on base more, they're not just up there being passive. But that's all Scott Harris and the types of players he targets and brings in. So I'm just really impressed. This is what the plan he outlined. He stuck to that plan, and he's put together a pretty impressive group of young players.
How many people walk around Detroit and they go, I told you Javi Baez in center field. I told you it would work.
That's right. Incredible. And I mean, that's the buy-in, right? I mean, these guys all buy into what they're trying to do. And Tigers have gone through 4 center fielders as I look out the center field here at Comerica Park. Couple of injuries, performance, and then it's like he wasn't 5th on the depth chart. He wasn't on the depth chart. And then he's like, yeah, I've always wanted to play out there. I'm good. I played at my teens. And sure enough, he was really good out there. And that's the kind of thing that you get from the veteran leadership in Torres and Baez. He's a very popular teammate, and I think everybody couldn't be happier for him. And I think AJ did a really nice job early of making sure that he wasn't facing a lot of tough righties with really good sliders. He is still vulnerable to that pitch. And you notice, because of the matchups AJ's been giving him, got off to the solid start with average, then the power came along, but he's seeing a lot fewer sliders this year, and I think that's very planned by AJ in terms of what he's giving him for matchups. And it's led to a very productive hitter with an OPS around 800. I would have taken 680 this year. And it's really fun to see because he's healthy, he's moving great, and he's adding a lot to this team.
All right. You personally, a lot of people say you want to be the guy who replaces the guy who replaced the guy. You replace the guy. That must have just been the dream. Ernie Harwell obviously was one of the nicest men in our game. He was great. I got to interview him once. You grew up, as we said, in Birmingham. It's where our team stays. In the Townsend Hotel, by the way, no relation. But I have stayed there a few times. It's beautiful in Birmingham. Just what has it been like replacing that legend and then paving your own way as a longtime voice of the Detroit Tigers?
Yeah, it's so this is my 26th year. Worked with Ernie for 3 years, and I always say I'm the guy who followed him. Nobody replaced Ernie. But first of all, working with him for 3 years was my advantage because I think when you do hire the guy to follow the legend and one of the all-time greats, it's helpful if you were in the booth and are a familiar voice. So I was a familiar voice, at least to Tiger fans in this market, because I've been in this market since at that point, but 12 years. So all those things were in my favor. And then Ernie, I think, definitely was some of the things he did, like give me an inning of play-by-play in the last game at Tiger Stadium. That was the first time I'd ever called baseball over the air other than practice. and then I think advocated for me to join him as his middle innings guy. All of those things kind of just laid the groundwork. And then it wasn't a big stretch to say, okay, after 3 years, this is the guy who should follow in Ernie's footsteps as the main guy. And it's been incredible. We're very different, and I've always said that. But what I learned from Ernie was I'm a numbers guy. I like the numbers, but always in service of help. He was a people guy, and I'm a people guy too. But in other words, you'd watch him the way he worked. There's always a person behind the numbers, right? And so those are the stories that you want to tell. I'll use the numbers, but always try to have a conversation out of that with a coach or a player or whatever it might be. And I don't know. We went about it in different ways, but I think, it's been a great 26 years, and I hope to do this for a long time.
No, it's outstanding. And Tigers baseball is back. And let's end on this. Tiger Stadium, to me, I love it because it just screams old school.
My gosh.
Everywhere you go, there's Tigers, and everywhere you go, it's a celebration of the history. Last time I was there, I was in the booth. I was by myself, and all of a sudden, someone comes into our booth and says, "Young man," and I look, and it's Al Kaline, and I'm like, "Oh my God, it's Al." And Al Kaline says to me, he goes, "I don't travel out west anymore, but if you could go down and get baseballs, I will come back tomorrow. I will sign those baseballs for your community fund." And I was like, I'm standing there, look at me. You're looking at
unbelievable.
And I'm like, is this really happened? So I went down to Steve Vucinich, our legendary clubhouse guy. I'm like, you're not this. Al Kaline just came in. So the next day I had 2 boxes of baseballs there. He came down. It was just us again. We had a conversation. He signed balls. I went, this is like being at the Hall of Fame. It was one of the most crazy experience. But that's Tigers. That's Comerica to me. I know I've been up to the Detroit Athletic Club, up to dinner up there, looks down. I mean,
Walk it over, yeah.
I used to work for the Raiders, Lions games right there. I mean, that area, just Detroit just oozes old school American sports. I absolutely love where you work.
Yeah, there is a real level of excitement and energy downtown now. Like you said, I'm looking out at a downtown that has really come alive in the last 5 years, especially, but people living downtown, that's to me what drives it, right? And the occupancy rate of the apartments down here, and there are more and more being added every day, is they're basically full. And now you've got foot traffic. You come down here at the holidays, and you've got the skating rink at Marsh's Place, Campus Marsh's. And it's just, there's this really great feel in downtown Detroit that might be one of the undertold stories, across the country for a big city and its comeback. And this area with LCA, Little Caesars Arena over here, Ford Field over here, and Comerica Park, it's pretty neat.
Yeah, Dan Gilbert. I know everybody thinks of Dan Gilbert for our years, Warriors taking on the Cavaliers, and he's the owner of but what he did for downtown Detroit is truly amazing. Well, continued success.
Thanks, Chris.
Obviously, we're not rooting for you in this series, but definitely going to be rooting for you. Yeah, because it's a great story. You guys are having a great story. So enjoy this dream season. We'll check on with you later in the season.
All right, sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
I appreciate it.
You bet.
Dan Dickerson, the longtime play-by-play voice of the Detroit Tigers. Yeah, I was just there in October, as some people in the Bay Area might remember. Our old catcher at San Jose State, Dave Jennings, lives in Birmingham. He lives right down from where our team stays, where Dan grew up. Our team stays in the Townsend Hotel. No relation, but it's great. I got everything from that hotel. It's awesome to go there. And we were in Detroit. I was in downtown. I was right after our season, and weather was still good. And Dan Gilbert has helped redo Detroit to where Detroit wasn't that long ago. You didn't hang out downtown Detroit, and they told you don't hang out at night after Tiger games. Well, now a lot has changed. So a revival of an old school American city, and it truly is a great story. And the Tigers, they're showing you. Without the biggest payroll, there's plenty of teams that don't have the payroll of the Mets, and they don't have the payroll of the Dodgers, and they're winning, and they're making good decisions. There's no doubt about it. Something that we need to get into, it's one of the most, and maybe we'll do this on Friday, remind me, but baseball is a very interesting spot right now because you have the CBA that's coming up, and everybody's talking about this battle between the players and the owners. And we just saw the commissioner. So baseball, when you go into a CBA fight, you don't want to act like everything's great, right? You want to act like, well, not everybody's making as much money as you think. But then you need to start selling television rights because things are changing with who's going to buy to air your games. And you want to sell to them that life is great. Like the sport is growing. It's at an all-time high. So baseball's in an interesting spot. You want to sell yourself as being strong, competent, great, entertainment, you name it, we got it. That's why whoever it is, Amazon or whoever's going to spend a ton of money, whatever platform wants, because where we are valuable is how many games that we have. We have live programming to give platforms, whether it's cable, whether it's streaming, like what the NBA has done in streaming, we have that value. So you're selling how great the sport is. But then you're going into a fight with the players, and you don't want to be telling the players how great you're doing. Or maybe you're not doing that great. So it's like interesting. Baseball has two different stories that they're trying to sell right now, and it's going to be interesting to watch. Maybe we get into that Friday. I mean, somebody who is just the storyteller of storytellers, that's Johnny Doskow.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Johnny.
You were so great in Miracle, Kurt Russell. You crushed it. You were so good.
Are you going to allow me to talk on the broadcast today?
Oh, my God.
Just want to know.
Chris is laughing. Chris Carey's laughing.
Should I show up or are you going to railroad me again? Just want to know.
You can show up. Yeah, I will let you in.
All right. I'm just going to tell you right now, I'm going to keep it simple. The team you're seeing today is going to win the World Series.
You know what? I will say this. I will say this. The A's, they're going to have to make a really good run to do that. But I appreciate your confidence in that. I really do. I'm kidding. But I will say
the A's are winning the World Series. I've canceled all my postseason October plans, and honestly, I got to get ready. I'm already booking hotels.
How great a story would it be, though? How great a story would it be?
Oh, are you kidding me? I'm selling 32 and 49 right now. You think I could sell the World Series?
You can sell it.
I'm just telling you right now. I've told you for years the Yankees aren't going to the World Series, and they're not winning the World Series. I've been right all these years. They finally went to the World Series, but they still haven't won since 2009. So every year I've predicted that I've been right. The team that you're seeing right now in front of you at their stadium, Johnny, they're going to host World Series games. That's my hot take.
I like it. That's your hot take today?
That since they are on game 81, this is their halfway point. I'm just telling you right now, hot take, it's pure and simple. They will have a parade in the Motor City, and it won't be about the Lions. It's going to be the Tigers.
Wow,
Tigers are going to win the World Series.
All right, Towny.
What is that? Ken Korax? What'd you say?
All right, Towny.
Thank you, Ken.
I like it. I like
Motor
it.
City Kitties are going to win the World Series. You know, when they've gotten to this point in the modern era, 50 wins this fast, 84 won the World Series.
Yep.
2006 got to the World Series.
Remember that 35-5 start? Incredible.
Yeah.
Man.
I was at the game 2, when Kurt Bavacqua hit the home run in San Diego. That was the only game they lost in that World Series.
You were 12 years old. Towny was 12 talking ball at 12 years old. I could see you at 12.
At Jack Murphy Stadium for game 2 of the World Series.
12-year-old was wearing people out.
Jack Morris shoved it in game 1. They had no chance. Bavacqua hit the home run in game 2. And then everybody, the whole thing with Goose Gossage up against Kirk Gibson back at Tiger Stadium. That Tiger team is one of the greatest teams of all time.
The MVP.
Let me ask you this, Towny. What was your when did you stop loving the Padres?
It was a long time ago. Like and people, my friends give me crap. When you're away from it and you're not around it.
Yeah.
And they've always been crap. It just was, people need to realize I've lived here the Bay Area. I've lived in San Jose my entire adult life.
Yeah.
Right? It's not like I've been here 5 years, 10 years. I've been the majority of my life as an adult. Everything has happened. Went to school, played ball here, got married here, had my kids here, bought my homes here. Everything that's happened to me in my life outside of age 1 born through 18 has been in San Jose.
I always thought just part of you might been a little happy for the recent. I mean, at least they're.
I don't like these
success.
guys. I'll tell you this. Cody will attest to this. I think the Padres are one of the biggest talking, no producing. I'm not a fan.
Also, something that makes me hot.
I am not a fan of their act. They look like Tarzan, play like Jane. I mean, what have they done? They've made one NLCS, and these guys walk around like they've won 3-4 World Series, right? When you say the Padres have walked around with the most bravado, and when Soto was there, they had all the handshakes, and they're like, but bro, you've never won the division. So I've been divorced from that for a long. I've been in a lot of divorces lately, not with the wife, but I've been in sports divorces.
Yeah. Yep.
Plus, I've been around the A's for so long. It's just like, man, I became an American League guy, Johnny.
Yeah. Hearts with the green and gold. Same here. I hear you. I got you. I grew up going to Dodger games. But I'm not really a Dodger fan anymore. You know, it's hard.
It's been so long. You love the one you're with.
Yep.
All right, what do you got for hot takes?
Well, I'm going to double down on a hot take I had earlier in the year, and I'm going to double down because
Nick Kurtz is going to hit 3 home runs against the Giants?
Nope, not against the Giants.
Okay.
Not against the Giants. I think Nick Kurtz is going to have a 3-homer game in the short porch, Yankee Stadium. And I'm telling you, bro, like one of these days, this hot take's going to come true because this guy, every time he's up there, you feel he's got a chance at a home run. You watch him at the plate, you're like, he's going to hit a home run. He's going to hit a home run. And I just feel that 3-homer game is coming. It is coming.
Well, if you were ever to do it and to put yourself on on Broadway, on the big stage in front of everybody in baseball, there was ever a time for Nick Kurtz to say, baseball, here I am, that's at Yankee Stadium.
I agree. And I don't want credit if he ends up hitting 3 against the Giants coming up in early July at the ballpark in West Sacramento. I don't want any credit at all because I said Oracle Park, but
No, you did not. No, you did not. You just said no. You did not. You said Nick Kurtz will hit 3 home runs against the Giants. You did not say the ballpark.
Oh, I didn't.
That means the hot take. Even though it's like you went up in a casino. And you went up and you made a bet. You kind of made the wrong bet.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden, that ticket still lives.
Right.
So you can see you still got a ticket to cash.
You also never said the year either, so it could still happen next year, the year after. I mean, it can happen.
It's a career-long bet.
It's a long hot take.
He could be like 38 years old playing for like the Brewers, and we may have to go, Johnny, it hit.
I mean, Johnny still he said anytime Rafaela does something, I get a text from Johnny saying, pretty much saying the hot take. Well, we got 3.5 years for this take to come true still.
Hey, you saw my text I sent you on
yeah.
That's great.
Well, he is playing a good defensive center field for them, and that's why they're probably going to look to trade Jarren Duran. My hot take, I'm also doubling down on something.
What do you got?
And it's something I did last year and it didn't come true, but this year it feels like it could happen. Not only will Brent Rooker be an all-star, Brent Rooker will be in the home run derby this year.
Wow.
I think he gets in as an all-star as a second DH. And then I think he's in the home run derby.
You know, I'm just glad you have a normal hot take. Last week you just panicked.
I think Boston will survive without Devers. Oh, really? You think the business will go on?
It popped up on my Instagram today. I don't know why. I think I shared the video.
You don't think the Red Sox are going to shut down their corporate? The whole Red Sox corporation doesn't shut down because Devers is gone?
Hey, they're still playing.
Wow, that's a hot take.
Even though they lost.
Yeah.
A year ago today is when I told everyone the Paul Skeens would be in the All-Star game. And now I'm saying it today on this date, June 25th. Brent Rooker will be an All-Star and in the home run derby.
Okay.
So I have a double chance of being wrong.
I respect it.
So what happens if he's like in one and not the other? Do you get credit?
That's not up for me. That's not for me to decide. That's like Johnny, like
it's the committee, the hot take committee, right?
It's the Nick Kurtz home run thing. I mean, do I get credit or not?
Yeah, but you're giving kind of like 2 takes.
It's still more the home run derby one. He'll be in the home run derby.
Okay. Well, can you be in home run derby and not be an all-star?
I think so.
Have we had that happen? Because remember the polar bear? Was that the polar bear that did it one time? I'm not sure. I don't watch Home Run Derby anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure about that. I'll watch it if Ricker's in it. If Ricker's in it, I'm watching it. Yeah.
I have a thing where like we do so much baseball,
Yes.
Johnny, when it's the
Cespedes, Giancarlo, and Pete Alonso have all won the Home Run Derby without being in the All-Star game.
I like it. All right.
I've gotten to a point to where I'll glimpse at it. Maybe it's just like you got to get away from it. You gotta. We do so many games. You got to get away.
Someday Kurtz is going to be on that Home Run Derby. It's going to be a show.
Another take.
It's going to be a scene. It really is. That's a hot take.
It's not a hot take. He doesn't get credit for this. He doesn't get a hot take. He's living. Kurtz will hit 3 home runs at Yankee Stadium
in one game.
Tigers are winning the world. And I'm just doing this because you're there. I want you, as you're watching this, you're watching the team that's going to win the World Series.
Okay. All right.
And you got Rooker will be in Home Run Derby and be an All-Star.
Yes. More so the Home Run Derby.
A very successful hot take Tuesday on a Wednesday. Very, very successful.
All right, quickly, Johnny, we're at the 81 games. What is your grade for the halfway grade? The middle of semester, what is your grade for the Athletics?
I'd say just because of the pitching, I'd say C. I give it a C to C minus, right? But just for the fact that I don't know that the hitting is. You and I talked about the hitting's a B, and the pitching has struggled. So I got to give it a C with the hope that that'll get up to a B minus. They play great ball in the second half. They find a way. I interviewed Emo today. They got to pitch better. Even Kotze said in the scrum today, they got to pitch better. All
right.
What do you got?
I'm going to be that super positive teacher that's very nice, that wants to help the students. I'm giving you a very nice C minus.
Okay.
Very nice, as you have the second worst ERA in baseball. You've given up the most home runs. There's some really good offensive notes. I'm going to give a very nice C minus.
That's why I told you the car on the way up here. I said C minus also.
Well, we had different grades, but we're being nice.
Yes, that's true. Yes.
So C minus, Johnny, you're halfway. C minus, by the way, gets you a degree. Just want to let everybody know.
I was a C minus student, so yeah. So
no,
I know.
See, I thought you were an Ivy League guy.
Yeah, I was, bro. Come on.
I mean, listening to you on the air every night, I would say that guy clearly is Princeton, Harvard.
DUM dumb. Yeah, no, I was not the brightest.
At worst, you would be Brown.
By the way, get out and vote. Athletics.com/all-star voting ends tomorrow.
Yes.
And Jacob Wilson.
Absolutely.
You guys have a good pregame, and maybe if you allow me to talk, I'll be there in the 8th.
Okay, look forward to it. Thanks, guys.
All right, great show today. Jack Wilson, phenomenal. We got to play him on NBC coming up. We've got Johnny. We've got Chris Carey. And then I'll be back with Shooty Babbitt at 3:30. Right? 3:30?
No, 3.
Oh, it's 2:30. Yeah. I'll be back at 3 o'clock with Shooty. Then first pitch is going to be at 3:37. Thank you, everybody, for watching. We'll be back A's Cast Live on Friday.
That's good stuff, Towny.
When it comes to knocking it out of the park, nobody beats Folsom Lake Ford. Folsom Lake Ford is a 7-time Triple Crown Award winner, Ford Motor Company's highest honor, for being the best in customer satisfaction in sales, service, and finance. Step up to the plate for our biggest selection of new Ford models, including the legendary F-150, on sale now. Shop Folsom Lake Ford, your truck headquarters in the Folsom Auto Mall, FolsomLakeFord.com.
That ball is out of here.
This has been a presentation